How's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? I weighed these cattle last night. I took their weights last night. I weighed this guy. He weighed just about 325 pounds. I took a tape measure. Formula for how to do this is on Google. I took a tape measure. I wrapped it around from his spine around. So this calf right here, I have a few calves that are just they let me handle them with zero issue, like this guy right here. Oh wait, this is actually the wrong one. He's one of them though. Let me see. Oh well, he's right in the middle. Oh no, here he is. This guy right here. This guy let a few of these calves every once in a while. A few calves will just let me handle them. They will just let me handle them to a point where I'm able to just get all up on them. They could care less. So what I did was I wrapped a piece of string around his chest right here, behind his front leg. I took that measurement. Then I took a measurement from his butt right here, sort of diagonally to his shoulder right here. There's a formula for how to do this on Google, on how to take estimate weights by taking measurements of an animal's heart girth, as well as their I think it's called body length. There's a formula for how to do it on Google. It's easy to find. Just Google search it. I took estimate weights on these animals that I'm able to handle. This animal will let me handle him as well. Right here, this guy, he'll let me handle him as well. He could care less that I'm here. So I'm able to take estimate weights on these animals while putting zero stress on them. My whole big thing is to put least amount of stress as possible on these animals. Whatever I'm doing, putting least amount of stress as possible on these animals just keeps them happy, which makes me happy, which makes this farm money. Everything goes round in beautiful circles. So I took estimate weights yesterday. These animals, I took weight on my processor calf too. I checked my invoices as well to see when I brought these animals in, what weight did I bring them in at, how long have they been here essentially, as well as how much weight have they gained. That number, it gave me an estimate for what it is costing me to put weight on these animals. My processor calf, her wherever she went, well, okay, so these animals, essentially what I found is that, well, from my numbers yesterday, these animals, my big one weighs about 500 pounds. Where'd he go? Big fella here, I'm actually wondering where my processor kept when. She's probably in here somewhere. Unless I see her face, it's hard to tell it's her. She's just fine. It's just her face looks like that. Her mouth looks like that. But my biggest calf here weighed just about 500 pounds. That small brown calf over on that corner, he weighed just about I gotta check my notes. I think he weighed 325. So these animals, what I estimate right now is that my herd, I weighed this guy too. This guy lets me handle him. He weighed 315 pounds estimate. So from what I am seeing right now, these calves, they estimate weight on these calves is about somewhere between 350 to 400 pounds for all these animals. They are putting on about 45 pounds a month. It is costing me $3.75 a month. Oh, here she is. Here's my processor calf right here. So she's right about in middle of what these animals look like in terms of just size. She's right about in middle of everybody. She weighed 415 pounds. So these calves are, their average weight is about 350 to 400 pounds. They're putting on about 45 pounds a month. It's costing me $23.75 a month to raise these animals, to put on that 45 pounds a month. So it's costing me just over 50 cents a pound to put weight on these animals. I'm also having to grow grass for them. Grass I calculate separately, simply because baling grass will let me pay for it on its own. So grass I calculate separately. I keep an eye on how much it's costing them for grain. It's costing me just over 50 cents a day per animal to raise them like this. Or excuse me, it's costing me just about 75 cents a day. It's costing me about just over 50 cents a pound to put weight on these animals. They are putting on about 45 pounds a month. So I upped their grain. I took their measurements. I upped their grain. I am upping their grain until they get more access to grass. One of my big things that these animals, from what I have seen, if they get too much grain when there's a lot of grass, they will actually quit eating grass, then just wait to get more grain. So that is, grass is my cheapest, highest quality resource. So if they quit eating grass to eat grain all day, that's kind of a big problem. Well, that's kind of a problem on my budget. I would rather have them eating grass than eating grain. So when grass is skimpy, I'll give them closer to 1.5 to 2% of their body weight in grain. When grass is growing in real good, I'll give them closer to 1 to 1.5% of their body weight in grain. So right now they got their grain intake upped. I pushed their grain intake up to about 5.5 pounds a day per animal, 5 pounds a day per animal, somewhere like that. It's 75 pounds. Oh, excuse me, it's 75 times 2, so it'd be 150 pounds. So I guess it's just about 5 pounds per animal. I got 30 animals here, so they're getting 5 pounds per animal. I'm gonna keep a good eye on their conditioning. If they get too fat, if they become like morbidly obese fat, that's a problem, because these feedlots will actually pay less per poundage on animals like that. So I would like them to be a little bit fat, but if they way too fat, that is, that's also a problem. So I'm gonna keep an eye on their conditioning. I'm upping their grain. We're supposed to get some rain this week. Costs are just about over 50 cents per pound of gain on these animals. They are gaining about 45 pounds a month. Everything going kind of okay. Animals are in good health. I'm keeping an eye on their conditioning. My whole big thing about feed is that feed costs I don't really care about, because let's say instead of feeding 4 pounds, I feed 5 pounds per animal. So I give them an extra pound of food a day. Let's say that, or let's say I go from 4 to 6, just to make my life easier. Let's say I go from 4 pounds to 6 pounds a day on feed. Let's say giving them that extra 2 pounds of feed a day puts an extra third of a pound a day on per animal. Over 30 or I guess per individual animal, a third of a pound a day is 10 pounds a month. So if I make $1 per pound, which is low, if I make $1 a pound, let's just say to make my life easy, $1 a pound on these animals per pound of gain, that's $10. 10 pounds is $10. So if I multiply that by 30, I'm making an extra $300 a month. $300 a month will pay for over half a tonnage of grain. So feeding these animals extra food, it really costs me minimal amounts of money. If I feel like these animals, if I take their weights, their weights are gaining slow, I would do better just feeding them more. For stock of calves, I would do better just feeding them more than essentially what I'm doing year round is I'm just waiting for my grass to grow. I'm waiting for good conditions to have grass grow. When grass grows in, these cattle gain weight for very, 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 very cheap. I pay very, very little money to put weight on these cattle when grass is growing in. So this grain, even if I make $0 on it, if I feed it to them, they put on weight, they keep good conditioning until the grass grows back. Until this grass grows back, they just need to keep their conditioning. That's it. So feed costs are almost negligible. I could care less. Well, not, it's not about I could care less. In terms of priorities of things that I do for these animals, feeding them is cost of feeding them is least of my concerns. Just because if I put feed in these animals, if they gain weight, I make some money back, right? So if these animals look like they could be gaining extra weight, I think that these animals should be gaining about 50 pounds a month. So I up their grain to a little bit to try and get them to that point. I'm gonna see what happens. So grain cost to feed, it's really negligible to me. In my mind, is negligible. I need to measure this guy too. He lets me handle him sometimes. I got to kind of sit here and really kind of rub up on him for about a few minutes before he'll let me get on his back. Yep. So feed costs, I really, if these animals look like they would benefit from getting fed more, I just feed them more, because if it puts more weight on them, that puts money in my pocket. So why would I just, you know, it makes sense to feed them, right? All right, YouTube, that's it for me today. Y'all have a good one.